Thank you. Oh, wow. Okay. Thanks for coming, everybody. Thanks for listening to that. That set was a set that Henry and I learned for the Smithsonian Folklife Festival last summer in D.C. We played with a group of 4 other people, a pianist, a mandolinist, and some other fiddlers. And so we learned that set for that.
And the next set that we're going to play is a set that we're actually going to play on tour in Sweden as part of the touring group. It's called Bandy Drömmar, which translates to Dreams of Bandy. And bandy is a sport kind of like field hockey, if you can imagine that. So the title is roughly Dreams of Field Hockey.
Thank you. The next set that we're going to play is a set of 2 Scandinavian tunes that we learned for last year's tour in the group that we're in. And I couldn't tell you the name of them if you paid me $1 million. So.
Thank you all. The next tune that we're going to play for you is one of 2 that we're going to play tonight by a really amazing Danish group called Drummer Circus, if any of you know of them. Yeah, we got some fans. The one that we're going to play is part of a tune book that they released a couple years ago, which contains a lot of tunes that they learned along their life or they wrote. And the tune we're going to play for you is called The Obvious, for reasons that are sadly not obvious to me. But.
Thank you. The next set that we're going to play is two tunes that are written by Elsie Goller. She's a fiddler up in Maine, and she was one of the artist leaders in the group last year. So these are two tunes written by her.
The next tune that we have for you is a Scottish jig. It's called The Lounge Bar. And it's a classic jig that always seems to show up in every jam session I go to, not because I suggest it. Most of the time, sometimes I suggest it.
That one's one of my favorites. It's a fun one. But the next one that we're doing is another Dreamer Circus tune. It's called Paper Plane Polska.
come to our last two sets. The next set we're going to play is made up of two tunes called Moccasin Shuffle in Scraplin Shottish. And Scraplin Shottish is actually written by a member of the amazing duo Vesson, who maybe some of you are familiar with. Yeah, someone, yeah. And this is another set that we're going to be playing on our tour this year. Thank you all so much. We've come to our last set of the night, and before we play this, I would like to give a huge round of applause to Sean C. for running sound for us tonight. And to Beth and all of Burnham Presents for having us. Thank you so much.
Eli Glasser and Henry Kervick. Thank you so much.
very much. We're Hildaland. It's really, really lovely to be here and be back on the stage. We're half as big of a band as we were last time we were here with a different name. But yeah, that was a tune that we really love to play, an old-time tune from Kentucky called The Brushy Fork of Johns Creek. And we'll carry on and sing you a song. We'll sing you a poem. This one is a poem that we put to our own melody, and it comes from Scotland, like I do. And the lady that wrote it, her name was Alicia Ann Spottiswoode, and she grew up down in the borders of Scotland, in the rolling hills of the borders, and she was very much a Scottish lass. She loved Scotland so much. But her family, they did business down in London quite a lot, and so she got dragged kicking and screaming down to London a few times a year, and was quoted saying that she'd rather live in a castle in Scotland and England, a pigsty in Scotland than a castle in England. So yeah, we know exactly how she feels. But she played instruments, she wrote poetry, she wrote songs, and she was just a really interesting woman. And we came across this really lovely poem that she wrote after her husband had passed away, about riding their horses down the hill in the borders there. And it's called Ettrick. So it's her words and our melody. First rode down a track, our bridles were ringing,
our hearts were dancing,
the waters were singing,
the sun was glancing,
and blithely our hearts rang out together as we brushed the dew from the blooming heather. When we first rode down a track. When we next rode down a track, the day was dying,
the wild birds calling,
the wind was sighing,
the leaves were falling,
and silent and weary but closer together, we urged our steeds to the faded heather. When we next rode down the track. When I last rode down a track, the winds were shifting, the storm was waking, snow was drifting, my heart was breaking, for we never again were to ride together in sun or storm on the mountain hither. When I last rode down a track.
Thanks very much. Well, like Louise said, it's a great pleasure to be back here in, what are we, central western Vermont, wherever we are, here in the woods, the forest. You know, you're really out here in the middle of nowhere out here. There's not much around. Mostly dirt roads, as far as I can tell.
Our mechanic thanks you. And whoever we buy a new suspension from, too.
That's right. We'll give you a couple tunes here. One that I wrote called Snow Home, for Snohomish, Washington, a town where there's a nice little gig that I've played a couple times. And then we'll play a tune by our friend Jenna Moynihan called The Middle. One, two, one, two, three.
That's Ethan Satio and playing the mandolins for you.
Thank you very much. I'll sing you another poem here. I'll sing you a poem called "The Cherry Tree." I'm from Goshen, Indiana, from northern Indiana, and this is a poem by a poet from Indiana called James Whitcomb Riley, who was around at sort of the end of the 18th or the 19th century, the 1800s. Yeah, this is a poem of his called "The Cherry Tree" that I set to music kind of recently. And as I was doing that and writing a tune to go with this set of words that he wrote, another sort of complementary tune, more of a fiddle tune emerged, and so we'll play that as well. And so the song's called "The Cherry Tree," and the tune is called "The Blue Jay." There was a cherry tree, its bloomy snows cool even now. Fevered sight that knows no more. Visions of joys when you were a boy. There was a cherry tree, the blue jay sat as blue against the white. Oh, blue as jet he seemed there then, but now who knew he was so pale a blue? There was a cherry tree, our child eyes saw the miracle. Its pure white snows to thaw into a crimson fruit, far too sweet for a boy to eat. There was a cherry tree, give thanks and joy. There was a bloom of snow. There was a boy, there was a blue jay, of the realest blue and fruit for all of you.
I'd lost my voice, so. Yeah. It was quite the adventure getting here today because we went to start the car and it was nothing. So, and then halfway, we finally got it jump started thanks to our lovely neighbour who also very kindly offered her car if we really needed it, which was, so we were going to get here one way or another. But yeah, we got it started with the help from my brother on FaceTime being like, am I connecting this to the right bit? And his dad on the phone being like, yeah. Yeah, which was great. And then we got halfway here and the tire pressure thing came on as well, of course. And then the place where we were trying to fill it up, it wasn't measuring it right. It was saying there was 40 in every single tire, and that was definitely not true. So who knows? Anyway, so we're just hoping that maybe you guys will stick around until we finish packing up, just in case. Great. Awesome. Thanks. It's good to have your support. Okay, we'll play a couple tunes from either side of the pond. We'll start with a Scottish strathspey. I'm sure you guys know all about the strathspey, right? You're all very well versed in. You can dance it, right? Okay, so it's a Scottish dance, but it's also the kind of melody that accompanies it, and the main feature of the strathspey is a Scotch snap, which sounds like some kind of like whiskey and ginger drink or something like that, but it's not. It's a rhythmic feature, and it goes dagga dagga, like short long, and it's just really snappy and kind of fun. And I recently learned from a friend, a Scottish friend that lives up in Toronto. He was telling me that the strathspey came about. They call it that because it's danced at the River Spey. They used to dance this dance either side of the like narrowest part of the river. They would dance this dance over either side, and who knows if it's true, but I love it so much I want it to be true. So we're gonna say it's true. So this is a strathspey called the Rothimarcus Rant, and then we'll hop over the pond and we're gonna play an old time tune from the Appalachian Mountains called the Graf Spee. What word does that remind you of? Strathspey. Apparently it's the name of a boat, but these two tunes are like shockingly similar when you break them down. It's no longer got the strathspey rhythm to it. It's flattened out, but also kind of got a weird order to things, an extra bar or a couple beats here and there. But it's like they're so related. They're definitely distant cousins of each other, and I just love that about how music travels with people. You know, the Scots that ended up in the Appalachian Mountains with their fiddles and their tunes and things, and like it's kind of like, I guess, a game of telephone a little bit, because you're getting taught by ear one generation to the next, and you might hear something a little different, and so over, you know, however many generations, these tunes kind of morph and become something slightly different. So yeah, we're all about it. We love it. And so these are also, there's two great tunes, so we're going to play them for you. These are on a little EP that we brought out not too long ago that's back there, with a cute little illustration of a fiddle and a mandolin on it by our friend Chloe Rogers. And it's just a little EP of 4 tracks of just some of our favourite fiddle tunes. So yeah, grab that on your way out. That money goes straight to the mechanic for the new suspension and battery and and tires. Maybe we should just get a new car. All right. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. you never know at this time of year, like if you're gonna come to a place like this, is it gonna be like one of these cold old halls and you need loads of layers? And I brought a big thick cardigan with me as well. When we get here and it's roasty toasty. It's lovely. We tune because we care. Right, here's a song I wrote recently called Smile Friend. One, two, smile, friend, you don't need to cry, friend. It'll be okay, pal. Tomorrow's another day. You'll get through like you always do. Ooh. Go outside, a mother earth can find. Let her shine her light on the darkness in your mind. Find your release, she'll grant you peace. Ooh. Breathe in, listen to the birds sing. Wade out, wash away your doubt. Taste the salt in the air, feel the wind in your hair. Lean on the ones around who love you. Let them hold you, lift you up, console you. When you're feeling blue, don't know what to do. Ooh. Smile, friend, you don't need to cry, friend. It'll be okay, pal. Tomorrow's another day. You'll get through like you always do. Ooh.
We'll play you a pretty old time tune here next. This is an old time tune called The Elk River Blues, which is about, it's written by this fiddle player called Ernie Carpenter in West Virginia. And he wrote this when they decided to build a dam, and it flooded the land that his house was built on, and so they took his house. And yeah, this is the Elk River Blues in memory of that event. This is the time of year, you know, it's cold or it's warm or it snows or it rains or, you know, nobody knows. And the instruments also don't know. They're maybe more pissed about it than we are, actually.
It was something but like, I don't know, 25 or so years of, well, no, because it was, when was this born? 2002 this fiddle was born. So anyway, like, however many years of it, the first, however long of this thing's life, it was only ever in like damp wetness because it was in Scotland. So it never experienced dry. It was quite the shock for the poor guy. And I hadn't either, so I didn't really know the dangers. And then, you know, we went from being down in like West Virginia at Clifftop Old Time Festival, and it rained like all week and we were soaking wet. And then we went to Michigan, and this was like middle of the summer, and it was super dry. And we were like outside playing tunes, and then suddenly like all the horsehair was all over me, and I was so confused. And it just clean split right at the tip down the wood. I was just like, nope, can't take this.
It's not happening.
Anyway, it was a pretty tune.
1, 2.
Thank you. So we go by the name Hildaland. Mostly we really needed some kind of name for this duo because Satiawan and Bichen are two of the hardest last names to pronounce or spell. So we're trying to make it easy for you so you can remember. But the name came from a folk tale. So I'm sure you're aware of the Selkie tales. Do you guys know what Selkies are? Yeah, great. So they're, seals underwater, swimming gracefully, come on land, take their sealskins off, they become human. And Selkies are notorious for stealing human beings to take away to their Selkie underwater lands, underworld. And it's always happening in Orkney back home. It's always in the local newspaper. Another one's stolen away by the Selkies. It's just like, it's actually that's the real reason why they always tell you, like, don't turn your back to the sea when you're on the shore. It's actually because of Selkies, especially around like twilight or just those early hours of the morning or late in the day when the sun starts to go down. That's when they're worst at it. They often like come on land in the evenings and they dance under the moonlight and when there's no humans around to see them and then disappear off again. But that's when they're mischievous, is in that twilight, the gremlins we call it in Orkney. And Hildaland is one of those tales specific to Orkney. Hildaland means hidden island and is supposedly where the Selkie people have their kind of like summer home. Very fancy. In that it's always summer. Not like Orkney, where it's usually horizontal rain. And so the Selkies, they have this invisible island, invisible to the human eye. That's where they have, it's like the grass is always green and it's beautiful sunshine and they raise cattle and they're all plump and, they have good all their vegetables. Little known fact, Selkies eat vegetables as well as other things in the water. Well, these ones do anyway. Okay, so an Orkney farmer has his wife stolen away, and quite rightly is very, very upset and angry about this. And one night he's out in his little boat and he's going fishing after he's finished feeding the cattle, and he hears this really gorgeous singing voice, and it's his wife's voice, and she's singing to him, "I love you and I miss you and I'm sorry, but we're never ever going to see each other again, and that's just how it is. But if you want revenge, listen up, because this is where you should go. So go and visit the Spaewife in Hoy." And the farmer is like, "Yeah, I do actually. I want revenge." And so off he goes to Hoy, which is one of our, it's the biggest of the other than the mainland of Orkney, it's the biggest island, and it's the most southerly Orkney island. And so he goes out to see the Spaewife. The Spaewife is sort of like, she's kind of like a witch. And he goes and he gives her, a little purse of gold and says, "How can I get revenge on these awful Selkies who've stolen my wife?" And the Spaewife tells him, "Well, you're going to have patience because it's going to take 9 months and you're going to have to go out and do all these rituals that I tell you to do and follow these to the letter and you will be able to see Hildaland." And so off he goes, and all the neighbours are like, "Jimmy from down the road has gone a bit doolally. He's out there on the full moon doing circles around the standing stones and all sorts of crazy stuff." We have these huge big stones that stick right out of the ground that are older than Stonehenge. There's in a kind of big circle called the Ring of Brodgar. So he's like running around on the full moon doing all these crazy circles and, I don't know, sticking his head through the hole in the Odin stone and all sorts of crazy stuff. And everyone's like, it's probably just the grief. We'll give him that, a while to sort it out and then we'll maybe do something about it. And so off he goes. He does all these rituals, and then 9 months later, he wakes up and he looks out to sea, and it's just a typical Orkney summer's day. So the horizontal rain, it's grey, and out there in the middle of all that is this island, and it's like glowing under the sun. These beams just shining down on this island, and he knows that's Hildaland. And the Spaewife told him not to ever take his eye off of Hildaland, because if he does, he'll never ever get to see it again, no matter what he does. And so meanwhile, he's trained his 3 sons, who also think Dad's a bit barking mad, but they've gone and got all of the things he's told them to, and they've helped him down to the shore and into the boat, and they start rowing out to sea. And the next thing they know, there's these giant serpents, like big sea serpents, coming out of the water and looming over them, and it's terrifying, but Dad is totally calm. No worries, this is the Selkies, it's a vision, they're just mad that we're getting close. It's actually a really good sign, so just ignore it. So off they go, they keep rowing, And the first these three boys ever see this island of Hildaland is when they land on the shore of it. And it turns out Dad's not crazy after all. And there is this island that he's been banging on about for 9 months. And so there they are. And again, big scary looking monsters coming down the hill towards them. But this time they're cool with it. They know what's happening. The Selkies are really mad now. So each son has a bucket full of salt, and Dad sends them off while he stays with the boat. And each son has to do a circuit around Hildaland on the shore, dropping a ring of salt, and they have to do 3 each. So when they're done, there's 9 rings of salt around the perimeter of Hildaland. And this is enough to make Hildaland become visible to the human eye, and the Selkies have to leave and find somewhere else to go and hide out. And they are big mad about this, obviously, but that's it. It's too late. Nothing more you can do. Hildaland becomes known as Einhallow, which means Holy Island, and it's actually a real island. This is the real origin story of Einhallow, which is an island in Orkney. There were monks living there for a time. Nobody lives there at the moment, but for a while you could go out. There was like a one day in the summer that the Orkney Islands Council put a ferry on, so you could go and like spend the day on Einhallow, take a picnic or whatever, and then they'd pick you up at the end of the day. And everyone that's been has all said that there's still kind of like a magic about Einhallow, and that's because the youngest son ran out of salt for the last couple of meters of his last circle, and that was enough just to keep the magic in Hildaland and Einhallow. So, yeah, that's the story. That's what we called ourselves. So we'll sing you another version of the similar tale. This one's the Selkie of Solskjaer, and this was our title track of our first record. That's back there. We also have t-shirts that I made art for and printed that have the little baby from this song and the Selkie and all the seaweed and things, and one of the lyrics from the song, which is Ba Lily Wayne, and that's the mum singing to the little child, saying, "Sing with me, my pasty child." Lily being like pasty pale child, and Wayne is a Scottish word for child. So yeah, so here's the Selkie of Solskjaer. An earthly nudist sits and sings, and now she sings Ba Lily Wayne. Little can I thy bairnies feather, far less the land that he bides in. And in steps he to her bed fit, and a grumly guest, I'm sure, was he, saying, "Here I am, thy bairnie's father, although I may not comely be. I am a man upon the land, I am a Selkie on the sea, and when I'm far and far from land, my name is so scary." shall carry a gunner proud, and a good proud gunner I'm sure he'll be. With the very first shot that there he'll shoot, he'll kill both man, young son and I am a man upon the land, I am a sailor on the sea, and when I'm far, far from land, my name is Anne. So scary. Their violence showing in their acts, faking their brilliance, faking the facts. But violets grow up through the cracks. Nature's resilience, I want some of that. How? Why? Ooh, ooh, how? Why? Ooh, ooh.
Thanks very much. We'll play a couple more here tonight. How about it for Henry and Eli for playing a little bit earlier? Beautiful tunes. Great playing, beautiful tunes.
Love it.
Do you guys like to sing? That's what I thought.
Yeah.
I'm going to sing you a Towns Van Zandt song called If I Needed You. This is perfect. It's all working out. I'll tell you the words in case you don't know them. It sounds like all of you know them already. It goes, if I needed you, would you come to me? Give it a try. Would you come to me and ease my pain? If you needed me, I would come to you. I would swim the seas for to ease your pain. I can tell this is going to be a good one. You know, some crowds, they don't like to sing, you know, or they're shy or whatever. This is going to be good. I can feel it.
If I needed you, would you come to me? Would you come to me and ease my pain? If you needed me, I would come to you. I'd swim the seas for to ease your pain. Well, in the night forlorn, the morning's born, and the morning shines with the lights of love. You will miss sunrise if you close your eyes, and that would break my heart in two. If I needed you, would you come to me? Would you come to me and ease my pain? If you needed me, I would come to you. I'd swim the seas for to ease your pain. The lady is with me now, since I showed her how to lay her lily hand in mine. Luke and Lil agree, she's a sight to see, a blessing for the poor to find. If I needed you, would you come to me? Would you come to me
was magical. That was so nice. We love it when people sing. Well, we have kind of come to that point of the evening, unfortunately. We're send you out into the cold. And yeah, thank you so much for coming and filling this room with yourselves and your voices, and just being here to come together with us. And it's been really, really lovely. So yeah, thank you to you guys for coming out. Give yourselves a big hand. Chauncey is making us sound great up here, so huge big thanks to Chauncey for doing the sound. Another massive hand for Eli and Henry, who sounded so beautiful. Thank you so much. Yeah. Thank you so much to the Kitchen Sisters, who were awesome and made us a plate of cookies for later. Barbara and Chris are going to put us up tonight, so we're really, really grateful for that. Thank you, and give them a big hand, please. And Karen is on the merch at the back there, helping us sell all of our t-shirts and hats and things. Huge thank you to Karen. And of course, a huge thanks to Beth and everybody here at Burnham Presents for putting this on and making this magical community. Yeah. And if you want to know why I was able to remember all those names with my dyslexic ADHD brain, it's because of this. So, let me introduce you to Setomatic.
It's not just a piece of paper.
This we have for sale for those of you who play shows. This was an invention by this really cool guy from Moniaive in Scotland called Pete Garnett. He was in a band called Moish's Bagel playing klezmer music, and he came up with this ingenious idea like many moons ago now. And his was like a beautiful pencil, like wooden pencil box that he had taken, like, you know those little plastic things you stick in your garden to know what you planted, and he'd taken those and stuck magnets to the back of them, and then a bit of some kind of tin or whatever on the pencil case. So you've got your wee bits of magnet and they move, and you write on your songs and things, and then you can make up your set list every night and you don't waste paper or have to be like, anyone got a pen? So it comes with a Sharpie for writing all that on, but the other genius thing is it comes with some blank ones to write on in whiteboard marker the names of all the people to remember to thank. This has been a game changer for me. So, yeah, with Pete Garnett's blessing, we made our own version of Setomatic, and you can take one home. And while you're up there, if you wouldn't mind, we have a mailing list so we can let you know when we're going to be back in town, and we'd love to see you next time. So if you just stick on your name and email, that's important. If you don't put your email, we won't be able to email you, and you'd be surprised.
People do that.
People do that, and then just stick down like your social security and your bank code, sorting number, account number. That nothing bad will come of that.
Someday someone's going to actually do that.
No, don't do that. I'm joking. Yeah, this is Ethan Satillan playing all the big and little mandolins for you and singing all the way from Goshen, Indiana.
Thank you very much. Louise Bicken from Orkney, Scotland, playing the fiddle and the banjo.
Thanks for coming out. It's been so special, such a lovely evening. We're glad we got through that drive and made it here. So, yeah, next time we're gonna make sure that we're gonna start the car like an hour before. All right, we have to leave next time for our next gig just to make sure. Anyway, we'll finish up with a tune that I wrote for a good friend, our friend Jacob Davida. I met him at Fiddle Camp, which is as awesome as it sounds. And my first time setting foot in this country was Alistair Fraser's Scottish Fiddle Camp out in California. So fun. And this year he's asked me to go and teach, which is really cool. So full circle. And I met Jacob there, and we've hung at so many different fiddle camps since then. And we were at Pure Dead Brilliant Fiddle Camp in Massachusetts, which is Hanukkah Castle's awesome long weekend over Valentine's. And it was Jacob's birthday when we were there, and so I wrote him this tune. And for any of you who are like mathematically minded or musically minded, if you guess correctly how many bars, how old Jacob was for this tune, it's how many bars there are in the tune once around the tune, then we'll give you a free sticker or something. So, okay, good luck. It's called Pure Davida Brilliant, after the fiddle camp and his name. So, thanks again. 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, you're not all needing to get to your beds. You're very kind. It's really lovely. Thank you.
We'll play you one more really fast one. We'll play it really quickly. It'll be really short.
It's that you're ready
Because
to
it's
move
late,
for
you know.
bed.
Yeah.
Play it really fast and amp you up right before bed.
Yeah. It's Easter tomorrow, you know. It's a busy weekend.
Yeah.
This is a tune of mine called Coffee and Incense. Thanks so much for being here. It's been a real pleasure.
Thanks again.